Hi, I'm Kimberly Ring, and I'm a virtual teacher at Oklahoma Virtual Tour Academy. I've been teaching at Oklahoma Virtual Tour Academy for 5 years, and during that time, I've been named Teacher of the Year and New Teacher of the Year. So you're in good hands. And although I don't have all the answers, I have not perfected my technique. It is something that I strive to do every day. It's my hope that someday I will be teaching at a doctorate's level at a university, teachers at a bachelor level how to be virtual teachers, even if it's just a couple credits. Just something to give you as a teacher and future teachers the option, if they so desire, to go this route and be a full-time virtual teacher, or if something like this happens again. Hopefully it won't be a virus. Maybe it would be just like a big snowstorm, something like that. Or maybe a tornado in my area goes through town and destroy the school. This would at least give you the option and future teachers the option for kids to school, because something is better than nothing. So let's talk about a few strategies that I have for you during this time, whether you are teaching live using something like Zoom, or if you're doing self-paced, or a combination of the two. All right, so the first one I'd like to share with you is you're going to need a place to house all your assignments or announcements, whatever it may be. If you're already using something, keep doing that. It's really hard to implement something during this time, especially if your school just doesn't give you any time to prepare with your students in your actual classroom. So if you're using like Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams, keep doing that. If you've been using something like Class Dojo to communicate with your families, do that. Also, I would consider sending emails as well. I would do both. So if you're using Google Classroom, keep doing that. But if you have some families that might be reluctant, we all have them, I would definitely cover that base by sending an email too. So that way there's at least a couple forms of communication going out. There's other strategies like Remind, but those take sign up. So that's why I would use something that doesn't require any kind of sign up during this time. So something you're already using, or an email. And so, or any other kind of resource that you might have that I'm just not thinking of. For instance, my school, we have something called Blackboard Connect, where we can send an all call to our families and a text and an email automatically all at the same time. That's something I would be using if I had access to it during this time. So let's just say you have something like Google Classroom. Keep using it like you normally do. You probably make your assignments in there. You probably upload PowerPoints in there. You might not, because you teach them live, probably on a smart board. But you can definitely make some self-paced activities in there if you're not teaching live. So that's what I would do. I would go to the class. So go there. There it is. The classwork, and I would create a assignment or a material, whatever you may be using. But I would definitely upload your PowerPoint. I would definitely also make those in slides, Google Slides, if you're using Google Classroom, because any kind of fonts you use, things like that, they won't transfer over unless it's in Google Slide. So I try to upload just a PowerPoint that I use, and it messed all the text up. If you don't care about that, then no worries there. But it did make some of the text overlap each other and made that challenging to read. So it's just stuff to consider. So once you've done that, you're set. You have some work done. Hopefully in your PowerPoint, you have like a video or a quiz, maybe a link to a Kahoot or a GoFormative, something like that to facilitate some sort of checkpoint. And I'll show you some of, like, I use GoFormative fairly regularly. I enjoy it because you can see, you can put whatever you want in here. There's all kinds of choices. Let's go down here to where I can add something. So also what's nice about it is that it doesn't take any kind of sign up. So you just send the link, a direct link to your kids. You can put that either in announcements or in the Google slide itself, and it'll take it right there. There is a show your work. So I know some of you are going to be like, but I want to see my kids' work. We all do. I want that as well. So that is an option where you could take an image. So I'll show you something like that here in just a second, but all computers should have something called like snip and sketch, I think is what it's called, or snippet tool. You can Google it. It just basically takes a screenshot of the select area that you want, and then you can save that as an image, and then you can upload it into here, like edit the background. So if you have a worksheet that you want them to do, you just take a snippet of it, make it an image, put it on the background, and then they have to show their work on those particular problems. There's other kinds of things like videos. You could embed videos into here, images, text blocks. You can have them write an essay. The ones that are lit up are free, so these other sections are not. And so, but again, this doesn't take any kind of sign up. When they go to the link, it'll ask them, there's a bottom section that says first and last name, join, and then you're good to go. Another resource that I like that you can embed into your PowerPoint or put it in an announcement if you don't want to make a PowerPoint is called Desmos. Desmos is primarily for math, but the year that I used it for reading. And this is what it looks like, but I wanted to show you what it looks like for a teacher versus a student. So when you send them the direct link, it's going to take them to something like this, and the direct link already puts the code in, but I would definitely put that in the announcement as well, just in case something happens and it doesn't auto-populate. That way you could just send them this student.desmos link too with the code underneath it, along with the direct link. Again, just trying to cover your bases. So if anyone says, hey, this didn't work, you can say, well, did the student.desmos link work? And then you can manually. So when that, they click join. I'm going to go into the dashboard over here. You can see what that looks like side by side. When a student comes into this, they'll just click continue without sign in. I would definitely make this like part of the instructions in the PowerPoint or whatever. And then they just write their name in. I would tell them to put their first initial last name or something or other like that, whatever you want them to put. And then once they're in, so this is my teacher side over on the right. On the left is the student. And what's nice is right now it's self-paced. They can go as they want through the slides, and it doesn't hinder them at all. What's nice though is on your side, let me scoot this over a little bit, is that it will put everyone's work side by side. It'll also tell you where the student is, and you can see, you can go directly to that slide and you can see their work. So for instance, on this particular slide, I'm supposed to highlight something, highlight textual evidence to support my claim. And you can see that in real time, which is really, really nice. So that way you can just see everybody's work at one given time and not have to worry about different worksheets all at the same time. So you can just grade this question all at once. It's really, really handy. Some other things that this has that it's not necessarily on this, completely on this, is there is like multiple choice, and let me go there. Well, actually, what's really cool is that you can tell them to go there. And that particular screen just went dark for me. See it over here. So you can restrict them to whatever slide you want them to be at. but it does it for the whole group. It doesn't do it just for that one student. In this case, there's just me in there, so it is just for that one student. But if you have a ton of kids in there, it will restrict it to just that one, or to the whole class, to that one slide or the whole slide that you want them to do. So if you're doing this live on, say, like Zoom, then you can just work through this, which is really, really handy and really, really awesome. So those are a couple of my strategies that I would definitely use if you're wanting some self-paced and easiness, efficiency. As I mentioned, you can embed links in here. I think I did way over here. There's a link right here. I put, I did this, we were reading at the time, we read Charlotte's Web. I put the chapters in there, so there was no excuses. There's a quizzes for a ticket out the door. And then I read the book aloud to them because I have some really struggling readers during that year. So that's just one strategy that you can use. So now let's talk about live. Oh, also I wanted to mention that there's some other resources out there like Nearpod that you can use live. The self-paced options are part of the premium package and they are not free, but I think right now Nearpod is giving out some free things, so you might look into that. So it might be free for you in your school right now, depending on how that works. I haven't looked too into it, but I know that I think they are giving some free access to those. So something to consider. Again, you can just load your slides into this or go through their library. There's free stuff. There's premium stuff that costs money. You have to buy it, kind of like on Teachers Pay Teachers. But the self-paced option is not currently a free, just part of their free standard accounts. It is part of the premium, but again, I think they're giving that out for free. I just don't know how to get that. There's tons of things right now, and I have not researched them all in depth, but you definitely should if this is something that you want to use, because there's all kinds of things on here. There's games. This Time to Climb is a free. It is part of the free, but again, it's just not part of the self-paced. The self-paced is what I'm trying to say is not a free thing. But most everything else is. So you could use it as a live session during one of your live classes. Something else, if you're wanting your students to write, is called Padlet. And it's just it's like a pad, if you will. I asked my constructive responses on there and they type in. Again, it's not something that they have to log into, but it won't tell you who wrote it. So it's just something that they could use. You could use it kind of as an informative assessment for your entire class. It's anonymous, so you can just kind of gauge where they're at, but which is what I normally do during my live sessions when I use this. I don't use this as like something I'm going to put in the grade book. Just not kind of getting a feel for my kids and where they are with that particular thing. So now let's talk about live sessions. All right. So Zoom right now, their CEO is giving out that for free, which is pretty awesome, and that they're doing that. So normally a Zoom meeting will only be 40 minutes long. What's really nice right now is that you can get it for a limited amount of time. So that's not a big problem for me because I teach live sessions for 30 minutes, and I can show you what that would look like. A standard lesson, a 30-minute lesson, because it is going to be challenging to hold their attention when they're at home and in their pajamas. It's going to be challenging. It's for us too. It's challenging to get them to choose to come see us. And it's going to be challenging for them to come see you. One of those things that we do is, at least at my school, is it's for a grade. Their live sessions are for a grade. So I would definitely give that incentive. Say, you know what, this is going to be a grade in the grade book, and so it's going to be worth your time to come. Now know that it's not always going to be convenient. What's nice about Zoom is that you can record it and you can put that in like a Ed Puzzle and put a quiz. So they have to answer the questions as they go. The challenge is always that, it might be someone else watching it. It might not be your kid, but at least you did your due diligence. That's what I tell myself. I actually don't give a grade if they have the option to watch the recording, but I don't give them a grade for watching it. The incentive is they have to come to class and they have to turn on their mics and webcams so I can see them. So what's really, again, nice about Zoom is that they're giving that extended time for free. So you can be in a meeting with all of your kids for longer than 40 minutes. However, again, like I said, it's going to be a challenge to hold their attention. So I would not hold it for more than an hour at a given time. So 30 minutes to an hour, and then do some self-paced things. So when you start your meeting, you're going to be given a link like this when you actually start your meeting, and I can backtrack on that and how to get there. But I have a feeling that most of you will be able to at least get to this point. This is a link that I would post in my announcements on Google Classroom, or send an email with it each day, whatever it may be. You might just say, you know what, we're going to meet at this time on these days. Here's the link. Put it in your calendar. However, how strict you want to do it, is fine. That's how you need to decide how you're going to communicate that. So when they are in, I have a waiting room. And so right now I have 2 kids that are waiting to be admitted. They can access this via phone, or they can access this via the computer. When they access this via phone, they need the app to do that, and it will look something like this. They will it's not I don't know, actually, now that I say that, they might be able to click on a direct link and this will be auto-populated. Otherwise, they just need to know that this number right here is the number that they'll enter on their phone. I would probably put that separately. Code, number, that kind of thing. And then they can change their name right here, and then otherwise it's defaulted to their computer or whatever they're using. I would tell them to change their name. They would need to connect their audio and turn off, and we want their video on, unless you don't mind it being off. So, okay, so now let's admit these kids in. I'm going to admit all. And now they are here. So this is my kiddo that is in here. So now I'm in. There's something you can do. You can allow student participants to unmute themselves, and that will allow them to push talk. Right now I couldn't push talk on my phone or on this computer, but now I could. And then when you don't want them to talk, you just unclick that, and now they can't unmute themselves. So that's really handy in our world, is because we can turn kids off. So if they are talking for too long, you're like, thanks, great job, we need to move on. Click. So that's really nice. There is a chat box. And then let's talk about breakout rooms. So you want your kids to go work independently, whatever you want them to do. So you put them in breakout rooms and assign 2 into, and this is where it kind of is confusing. So you can just tell it how many breakout rooms you want. So you have 2 participants into 2 rooms. So that will create the 2 rooms, and it will put 1 in each one. So if you had 20 kids, I would put 20 there. If you want them in groups of 2, then 10. So, whatever. And then once you're ready, you'll just click create rooms. And then, let me see here. You can tell it for how long, move all participants into breakout rooms automatically. All right, so, and you can play with those as you want, and then open all rooms. And now they are moving they've been moved into their breakout rooms, and it's gonna get scary because they're gone now. As you can see, they're not up here, so you won't be able to see your kids. But you just go back to breakout rooms, and then you just click join, and then yes. And then it takes a little bit. This is something I don't like. On my platform, it's like instant. So this bothers me. This waiting part really bugs me. And there we are. So I'm in here, I'm watching my kid work. I can push participants to ask her to, I can unmute her. And then on my, show you, it'll probably be backwards. Up will appear asking her to, sorry, there's a little pop-up there and it says the host would like you to unmute your microphone. Stay muted or unmute yourself. And when you're ready to leave that breakout room, you just click leave that breakout room, or you can click on breakout rooms if you want to go to a different breakout room. This kid hasn't joined. This kid is on a computer, and I left that computer over there. So it is probably asking him to move himself, if it's okay to be moved, which I don't like. I don't like that about on a computer part. So on the phone, it was just automatic. But on the computer, it's gonna kind of some like adults, and like, do you really want to move there? So, some like adults. And so now I'm going back to the main room. So now I'm back in the main room, and this kid still is. So I'm gonna close all the rooms. All breakout rooms will close in 20 seconds. On my phone one, it's giving me a countdown. But I can click leave now, and it'll take me back up there. And so now we're all back. So now let's say I have a lesson that I want them to all see. So I'm going to click share. Alright, so here's my lesson that I want to share with them. I have my kids on the side, which is nice, but you can change that how you want to change it. For the kid, it just puts me, it shows the screen. It doesn't show me anymore, but I can start a video so they can see me, but it's probably gonna glitch it, so because I'm already sharing my video, but it does. So I would then want to probably do a slideshow so they can't see the other slide. Now they can see the PowerPoint on my others. I have 4 screens right now. That's kind of how I am. But I can see my notes on the other screen over here, and I would just have them answer this in the chat box. You can manipulate how you want to see this. So if you want to see the chat, you'll just go up to that more. And I would probably put this just somewhere where they can't see it. Well, actually, no, they can't see it, so it's not a big deal, but you guys can see my screen, so, but they cannot. So I probably put this somewhere where it won't bother me. And so I'd have them put their answers in the chat box for this, go over expectations. This is for my platform that I use, so you can just disregard that. And then we would just work through this. Have them read the student language of that standard. And then this is where I keep my kids engaged. Sharks are attacking our classroom, and we gotta fight these sharks off, is what I'm trying to say. So I would definitely have them like hop on their webcams and punch the sharks out, and something like that, and to where they can't, because they can't write on the board. You can, but they cannot, unless you give them that control. So you can give them that control to annotate back, but they can get pretty crazy. So I would just do something simple to where they either type it in the chat box or they do something on their webcam, like punch out the shark, and then you annotate it. You're like, that's gone. that type of thing. But keep in mind that that annotation is going to stay there. So you'll want to push clear when you're done. So you can give them all that control, but again, they will be very crazy, and that's okay for the first couple of times. But just remember to go back and clear it. And then I would have them either do this in a Go Formative or a Kahoot or something like that, because this is something that I can't just put in all their breakout rooms in Zoom. So I would send them to like a Zoom. I would put it in the chat box, just put that link and have them go there and do that real quick and share, my side. So I would do a new share and have that Kahoot open and go to that, and they can see themselves coming in. And so that's what we normally do as the start. Once they, we finish that, I'd let them punch out a shark. And then we would just keep working through this. In the chat box, I might tell them to put A, B, or C. Because as far as I know, there's not a polling tool option in this, and just this kind of one, in this type of Zoom. So that, or you would let them annotate it. They could circle it. They could color it in, that type of thing. However you want to do that. And so then we punch out shark. I typically, this is not probably good for the best lesson to show because it's not Zoom friendly. But typically in my small group classes, I will give them a box. I put their name on it and let them work. And you could do that if you have like a small group. Like if you're only working with 4 or 5 kids, definitely could do that. But otherwise, if it's a big group, you definitely could not. So maybe a Kahoot again, or quizzes, or Go Formative, something like that. And then I give some announcements. I tell them what's due today. This is because my school has an online platform with courses. So you might tell them they need to go work on the Google Classroom math assignment. There's an ELA assignment, science, whatever you want them to do. And then we have a ticket out the door. So you might send them again to a Kahoot or a whatever. But again, this is why I also recommend Desmos. If I can find that. Because they could just work through that with you. You can put them in breakout rooms and tie them to that one slide, and they can't go anywhere, right? So then you could see their work in real time. So you could see their work. I would probably stop sharing this. That way you're not breaking FERPA, or make sure you're just not doing it on the recording, just having this open for yourself. But you could definitely share some of this with them, but I just wouldn't share any kind of student work. You can put this anonymously, so that's another way that you could not break FERPA. So you can put this as anonymous right there. So if you wanted to share your screen while kids are working, then you can just put as anonymous and it wouldn't break FERPA. No one would know except for them. It tells them their name on their side, but it doesn't tell them, it doesn't tell anybody else. So that's why I would recommend using something like Desmos, where you can build that in and you can move them along as you want during your class time with them live. So it's entirely up to you. So this is another resource that you could use. They could potentially, I did make a password for this, but it's something like super simple. All it has to have is a lowercase and an uppercase letter. It's a Flipgrid, and you can set this up however you want. So what's nice about Flipgrid is that it's a video response, so you can potentially see your kids working. So this is accessible via an app or on the website, but they do not have to have a login per se. So where did the other one go? Oh, here it is. So like you saw, I set up a password, but you don't have to do that. You can just give them a direct link. And when they put in their responses, you can put in the instructions that they need to state their name. And obviously you'll know who they are because it's a video, right? So, but you can have them just do this like as a ticket out the door, like tell me what you learned in math, tell me what you learned in reading, that type of thing, just for some accountability. So if you do send a recording because your student for whatever reason could not attend that session, it shouldn't be a problem during this time because, right, we're on quarantine. It shouldn't be like going anywhere. So, but if that's the case for whatever reason, you could do this. If you watch the recording, you have to do the Flipgrid. So you can do anything with it. And what's cool is that you can set it up for other kids to see it, but after you approve them. So it's just something else to use in case you want to physically see your kids, but you're not doing live sessions. All right, so those are my tips and tricks for you traditional teachers. Thank you for all that you do, and hopefully some of these tips and tricks will help you at least feel a little more confident. Remember, say it with me. Something is better than nothing, right? So let's at least do something for our kiddos, whether it be something just self-paced that you send out via email, or put an assignment in your Google Classroom, or teaching live, whatever your school's expectations are. But hopefully this will make it a little bit easier for you. You shouldn't be printing off tons of resources because there's resources out there for your kids. Libraries are giving out, checking out hotspots. There's libraries all over. I know that's quarantine right now and that kind of defeats the point, but hopefully just those one or two kids are the only ones in that library, right? Hopefully they have a tablet or a phone because all of these resources are accessible via those options. So hopefully, fingers crossed for you. But regardless, even so, that should narrow it down to maybe one or two kids that need print off stuff, and everybody else can just do the Desmos or the GoFormatives or the Kazoots or the Google Slides on your classroom, whatever it may be. So it's my hope that through these tips and strategies, it'll make your life a lot easier and provide instruction for your students, because something is better than nothing. But if you have any other questions or concerns or anything like that, let's type those in the comment section of wherever you're finding this video. Furthermore, let's share. I know I'm not the expert on this. I want to be. That's something that I want to do, if I'm being truly honest, but I'm not right now. I'm only in my 5th year as a virtual teacher with 8 years of experience total. But I try to perfect my technique every day. But other teachers out there would be happy to help, and they might have more experience in answering your question. For example, I'm just elementary, so you might be a high school or middle school teacher and may need some more content advice in that area. So hopefully other virtual teachers like me are responding to your questions and providing that kind of support. We do have a hashtag going around. I think it's hashtag teacher tip corona. I'll put it in the description of this video so you can find it there. But we've got all kinds of tips and tricks going around on Instagram for you. So share this video, type in your questions, and we'll do our best to respond as quickly as we all can, because we want you to be successful, and we want your students to be successful too during this time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.